What's this? It's your mission. You need to go. There's kids being hurt every day. Oh my god. Hello everyone, Prince Dabs a lot here, and I'm going to be talking to you about part 1 of the Delta Green campaign, God's Teeth. Now before we go into it, I want to have some trigger warnings for this campaign. It has themes of child abuse, so it's not for everybody, and if that's going to upset you, that's perfectly okay, and I encourage you to use caution when exploring this. Despite that, this is a fantastic campaign and has contained thus far some of my favorite Delta Green moments and does a great job of exploring dark themes without coming across as just edgelord content. This really has some of the best Delta Green stuff you can play, and I have 2 thumbs up currently going into part 3, so I'll be making these videos as I finish the parts. So with the trigger warning and spoiler warning out of the way, we're going to be diving into this part 1. And given how good of a game designer Caleb Stokes is when he wrote this campaign has no real right or one way to run it. The way he's written it is clear that he understands and respects you as a game master and gives you tools to play around with and tools to manage your players with. So again, there's going to be no one size fits all approach here. You're going to have to craft this towards your play group, but again, he respects you. He wrote this understanding that you're going to know what you're getting into. So that just shows the level of respect this campaign has, not only for its content matter, which is quite dark, but also the respect for the players and you as the GM time. One aspect of running games that I don't think is talked about enough when I see reviews for this and that system or module or whatever is how much fun you're going to have as a game master, handler, dungeon master, whatever, running this. Many modules are not fun to run, but super fun for the players, or vice versa. And I know fun is very subjective, but I just want to emphasize that this is where this campaign stands out. I have had such a great time running this campaign, and my players have had such a great time playing this campaign that it seems like we're all on the same page, and we all always want to consume more of it. So just going into it, just know 2 thumbs up, fantastic campaign, has some great subversive moments, some very dark moments, treated well. And yeah, let's get into the props I made, the handouts I made, and what I did to help run this part 1 successfully. So even prior to the campaign, I gave my players this chart. I did edit out the line about Bast demanding it, so that wouldn't appear on the text, but I gave my players this cheat sheet on killing when they made their characters because it let them know, oh, you don't just have to gun down people. There's many, many ways to inflict violence against other people or things in the world of Delta Green. So I would definitely recommend cutting out the Bast demands it line and just giving them this when they make their characters, because one of my players is now overdosing people to solve problems, and I like the cat's paws line as well, something you don't often think about. So hand this out in the beginning. Another general prop I like to use across all my tabletop games is these little clips. I don't have the clip on me, but it's just downstairs, and it clips on. You put your name tag in it, and this is so when we're sitting at the table, you always know what name the agent wants to be called by, and if they have code names, they just write it on the back, and then we just flip it, do anything like that. And that's great because it just keeps everyone from addressing everyone by their real name. I used to use just crappy sticker tags, but given how many sessions we have of this, everyone's upgraded to the plastic tags that you can just keep reusing. Plus, they put like their little player pictures in it if they have it. So these have been huge for and myself, for just increasing buy-in around the table and making sure you're addressing everyone by the right names at all times. Another piece of equipment I use is I have this little Steam streamer thing, although I'm sure you can get anything like it. And I use this to stream my computer to a little monitor I have behind me when I run games. And I use this to include all sorts of pictures and handouts, and lets me do scene transitions, because honestly, the art in Delta Green by Dennis DeTwiller is so good. I love it. It's this lush, great oil surrealist painting style, and other players deserve to see it. It also lets me do big scene transitions like this and keep the tension up. So this has been huge, just a virtual desktop basically, to sharing that experience of looking at all this great art, and it gives the players a great visual of what's going on. A lot of this stuff can be found in the handouts packets for God's Teeth, and most of this also comes from the ghost.io, the what used to be the Patreon, now moving to this internal website with Delta Green, and that's where Dennis Twiller posts most of his art for all the scenarios, and those are really great because you can just copy, save, and then throw them in the slideshow for your players to see. You don't have to fiddle around with text editors and stuff. But I do this in all my Delta Green games, and it's huge for just increasing the players' vibes. And like I said, it's great art, it's great handouts, it saves on paper, so you have to print out everything. But definitely would recommend getting some sort of little monitor or screen or TV or whatever you want to use set up. Definitely my players have all agreed this is a huge asset. Another prop I made that I'm very proud of is the cartoon cat folder. Let's see if I can see it in all its glory. So, and internally, I also have the reactions and the handouts. I made them all weathered and gross. Wow, that is not letting me see it. Yeah, so I made them all weathered and gross. And what I did is for the pages themselves, I more or less took old coffee grounds, wrapped them up in a paper towel, wetted it, and then almost like painted the pages with that, and then stick it in the oven low and slow at about 250 for 15-20 minutes. And it gives them that great crinkled texture. And I also like to sprinkle some of those coffee grounds on it, so it almost has that gross, gritty texture. It makes physically handling these papers gross for your players, and that's like just another good sensory element you can include. And then for the cover, I just did usual paint. I think I spray painted it with Mod Podge first to give it a good texture to work on. Put my hand in red paint, slapped it on there, put some black goo and just flicked it all over my paintbrush, and it came out really well. And my players really enjoyed this grody handout. If you're gonna have any handout in this campaign, it should be the cartoon cat folder, because the moment when the one agent received it, I even had him step behind a curtain and look at the images or look at the text handout while the music swelled. And as soon as he sat back down looking distraught and disgusted, that's when we did the scene change for God's Teeth to introduce the campaign. And I thought that was a fantastic sting moment and really let your players know that you're in for something. You're in deep. You're not in some usual Delta Green campaign, that this is going to be some next level shit going down. So yeah, that's my cartoon cat folder handout. And when my players also, when the friendlies went and took the folder and looked at stuff, I walked back behind there and I swapped out the reactions for them and let them hand that out so they can know how to react when they step back into the room. And when my agent looked in the folder again, I made sure to swap those out and hand that back to him, so there was always something new to look in it. And it was just, you could tell by just the way that my players handled this folder around the table and the way my agent slapped it down in the meeting in the hotel, that this is a disgusting artifact that deserves to be respected and destroyed. So that was exactly what we're going for, and it was a fantastic moment. Plus, little cartoon cat kitty on the side. I like it. It's a little creepy knockoff Hello Kitty. So that's it. Another thing I did, and this probably could have been done slightly better, a little more seamless, but what I did was I went through and I handout-detized, is that a word? Handout-detized all the planning a murder stuff, whether it be, an agent with 10% in forensics understand that criminals who pulls off successful crimes quarantine the scene, blah, blah, blah. I copied and pasted that out into a Google document. I trimmed it, and then any agents that met that criteria, I handed out to them during that scene. Same with the firearms, same with the navigation, same with the getting guns and getting the car and hot wiring, all that stuff. I turned that all into handouts and just slip that to all my agents during the murder planning scene, because that really let them, versus me sitting there reading off this stuff and blah, 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 and them just kind of doing it verbatim, I let them play it out themselves and figure out how they're going to explain to the group, hey, we need to strap up our guns, we got to duct tape them, we got to make sure no one sees us. And it really added to that. We are planning multiple federal crimes and we will go to jail for the rest of our lives if we're caught. And it let the agents put the necessary tension themselves into, oh, hey, I know how to hotwire a car. I can go grab us a car. Oh, I know how to get us a firearm. I'll go buy us guns. And it was a great split up scene of like, we know, we've looked at this thing. We know it needs to be stopped. Let's go stop it. And I have the knowledge to stop it. So I would recommend that, hitting them out. It was a little bit of a text dump at the beginning. A lot of kind of sitting there reading, but you just got to, be prepared for that. And I'm always one to sit back and let my players take all the time they need and think and discuss. So I'm not one to constantly be pushing. I would recommend having that take. But yeah, that worked out, I thought, really well. And definitely let them role play themselves, especially with their individualized reactions to the folders. Another thing I turned into a handout was the manila folder. And I actually stapled a sheet of paper across the thing that they couldn't access, so that if they met the requirements listed above, they could just lift it and read it. And if they didn't, they weren't exposed to it, along with the MapQuest handouts and a Nokia phone. I also included the email printouts for the meeting. I used my Outlook and I made some email handouts, which I will post if they are wanted, just about the Tala, Gary Hall, and Leah Garner need your help upcoming case. And these are just the exact copy of the ones I gave to the friendlies. And they're kind of suspicious. They're a little odd, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to raise some red alarms even without being too obvious about it. So these were all inside a manila folder I put together and Clove gave the agent in addition. And it just gave that layer of secrecy that was required because my other friendlies were sitting at the table, physically when we were running the first scene with Clove. So it just really gave that additional sting of tension and secrets and distrust that I think this part one really brews on. Another thing I did was I corrected the map that's listed for the cornucopia house. I found that the map printed in the book doesn't contain information that matches up with the description, and as someone that even just likes to have this map so players can know what rooms they want to explore, not really like a battle map, but just a way to know what they're looking at, and hallways, because I'm honestly not great at directional speak anyway in tabletops. So I made this new version. I'll post it online as well, and just kept it simple, kept it as close to the description as I could. And that's how you got to keep it, because there's not a ton of detail in the books. You don't want your players getting too caught up looting every single room. It's just great to give general overview. So I'll be posting that. So another thing I made for myself is I like to make a custom warden screen for every scenario I run. It just helps me put it, compress the information in my head and then spit it back out. So this one just had a lot of stats that I mess up or that I need to know. Going forward, I go more scenario based, but for a good intro, I love to just have some base stats, sand losses, stuff like that. I found this cheat sheet on the ghost.io, so I definitely recommend getting it. More stats. I even called out the investigations and preparation and everything they can do for this scenario, just wrote it all out so I can easily track it. Along with, I made this little cheat sheet for myself about their powers, synchronicities, sand, standouts, and chips and stuff like that. So I just physically write on this. And keep it with my DM screen so that I can track it at all times. And then I also extracted all of the NPC sheets and put them on a single page, cut down all the flavor text and fluff, which is great, but I don't need it when I'm looking for stats. Highlighted the important HP and attacks and stuff like that, any armor. I just find that's really helpful for keeping myself organized when I play. So I can post this if you want it in the comments, and I'll be making these for everything going forward. Another thing I did while I was playing was when Conradin throws the physical book down. Well, the actual God's Teeth text basically is the waterlogged copy of the Sherry Vishar, and it even has the one side called out. That's the unrotted side. So I actually just covered up the Delta Green page with a blank sheet of paper, and then I just physically just slammed this book on the table, and it was a great. It just looks so good. It's so gross. It was really added to the physical propness. And if you have the book, you have the prop, so there's no reason not to use it. So another element I added was during the farm assault, the two dogs, came over and were acting strange as said in the text. I named one, per the text, Mr. Throb. The other one I named Mr. Pulse, and he will reappear later in the campaign as well, along with Mr. Throb. And I actually had my agent roll a POW ×5, as happens later in part 3, just to get the train rolling that something really weird is going on here. And it was my agent with the highest POW. He had like an 85% or something in it, so he passed it. And it let him guide the dog more than he expected or was used to, and I think it did a great job of hinting towards the things to come. And he's still thinking about the POW ×5 roll even as we go into part 3. So I think that'll be a great moment when he reattempts that without even asking me, or me having to hint that he needs to make a POW ×5 roll with the dogs later and possibly the bear. So I think that really sets up that weird animal domination instinct link that the agents will have going forward. So another thing I did is with the Conradin carving is I physically made this in Bluebeam or Photoshop, and I actually taped this to a tree outside my house. And I had Conradin physically lead the players outside to look at this, which was a great, almost fourth wall breaking moment when I told them to come and follow me, and they didn't move. And I was like, no, you guys need to follow me physically. And we went outside and pointed this, and it was dark by the time it happened. And watching my agents just standing outside in the real life cold with snowy, billowing breaths crouched around this tree, looking at this drawing, realizing that this is them and this is how they're tied in, really emphasized that what the hell are we in for? Why did you get us involved with this? And why are we here? Has something called us here? And I thought this was a fantastic moment that was probably my favorite Delta Green moment of all time until this point. So if you have any chance to do this or any way you can physically do this, I would absolutely do it. And funny story, I left this outside overnight, didn't think anything of it. It was gone in the morning. Someone must have came by at like 6 a.m. and removed it, even though it's outside my house. So I have no clue why that happened. Maybe a squirrel took it, and that truly speaks to the anger of Bast. But yeah, absolutely do this. I put X's on where they got marked, which I kind of had played out in my head beforehand, and it's pretty easy to force, so I wouldn't sweat that too much. Time of, and this was super easy just to carve out. So another two creepy handouts I had, as stated in the text, were one, the journal with the kids' drawings in the house, the agents sitting around the folder, the agents getting attacked. And what I actually did is I actually drew out all 3 of my agents getting attacked. And then whenever the one found the folder, I just tore out the 2 pages that didn't matter and just handed over the rest to my agent. And it really freaked him out, especially once he realized, I think this was the most effective one, realizing it's the 3 of them sitting around the folder. So if you can make this physically, which I just have a journal for it, definitely do it, because this was a fantastic moment. Additionally, I also... this is going to be really hard to see in this glare, but I drew out the wounds as said as the kids' drawings, several copies of just every wound, and this was also another, holy shit, we've been predestined here, something odd is going on, and definitely was a lot more effective to hand this to the one agent that found it and have him just like freaking out on his own than to just verbally describe it. So if you can hand out anything, I would definitely make it a physical handout in this scenario. So now I'm just going to talk about some general God's Teeth's thoughts and musings, and that is that I was not prepared for how fast my agents were going to hit the ground running. I kind of assumed they would do we're going to scout it out first, we're going to take our time, we're going to explore these angles, we're going to go blood testing, we're going to yada, yada, yada. And, they did do some tests, and they did run into Carrie Houghton, which is huge, I think, for the plot. But they absolutely bum rushed it. And that was cool. Like, I'm not going to deny them that was a really neat experience to watch them go, no, we're not playing around. We're not taking our time and checking out stuff. We're here to kill very bad people that are doing very bad things, and we're going to do that right now, because every second that passes, children are getting hurt. And that's just something that naturally arose by looking at the folder and the reactions and the discussions. And I thought that was fantastic and really speaks to how serious this campaign treats its subject matter and how well it handles it. And again, it's not just an edge fest. It's not just here to be, make your characters go ew or whatever. It's handled really, really well, and it really instills a sense of urgency. So make sure you're prepared for your agents to hit the ground running. And even if they, if you have to force a chip earlier than you think you do, or you have this great scene set in your head of an agent alone doing X, Y, and Z, well, there was barely a chance when they were alone. So I just had to get them attacked by animals when they were together, such is life. So definitely don't sweat that too much. And just, if they want to bum rush it, just let them. Like, that's the beauty of it. That's really shows their animal aggression coming through just by themselves without even realizing they're under Bass thrall.